Welcome back. And we're staying with this matter of national security, even in this very segment. And it's a no-brainer, really, because security challenges are increasingly complex as they are myriad. And perhaps that's the reason that as the president transmitted the constitutional amendment bill for state police, drew a lot of reactions, even now that the Senate has passed this bill. So there are people who are for and there are those who are against. And one person who appears not to be in particular support of the state police consideration as it gets more support joins us now on the program this morning. Captain Bish Johnson is a security expert and he joins us virtually. Captain Johnson, good morning and welcome to the Morning Brief.
Good morning and thank you for having me.
I'd like to pick up from where we may have stopped with the senator who was one of those, of course, threw his weight behind the state police bill yesterday on the floor of the Senate. And he says, when I raised that concern about, abuse and whether the constitutional provision for, protection of the structure, now being the state police commissioner appointed by the governor, cannot be sacked except on approval of the National Police Council, whether it's enough for, the protection of the state police structure and to checkmate the excesses of the state executives. He says that, that will have to be, addressed as it unfolds, without quoting him copiously. Are you satisfied with that response? And of course, I know that you also have points that you have outlined for which you believe that the state police structure cannot work. So you have your work cut out for you.
Yeah, no, let me correct your opening statement. I am not opposed to state police. As a matter of fact, I have been an ardent advocate for state police for nearly a decade now, or even more than a decade now, because I have always believed that the funding and the security of lives and property remains the ultimate responsibility of government. I just had some issues with regard to the way the implementation framework was put together and those who are involved in putting that implementation framework because of the situation we are in right now. We are in a hybrid threat environment. The police that we know when Nigerian police was established is no longer the threat environment that we have in the country now and quite frankly all over the world. So my concern is about the guardrails that were put in place. I have gone through what is in the public media with regards to ensuring that state police don't become tools for governors to hijack and begin to intimidate and oppress their political opponents. And so far, I am satisfied with that. But having said that, that is not the only concern, and that is not the only guardrail that we should put in place. One of the guardrails, if you have read the article that I sent out, is with respect to the involvement of the current Nigerian police in the establishment of the implementation framework for this state police. And I am saying that we cannot decentralize police just simply because we want to decentralize police. And we cannot replicate 37 Nigerian police force in the country. If we allow the level of involvement of the current Nigerian police in the implementation framework of the state police, what we are going to have is another Nigerian police in the 36 states and the FCT. And we all in Nigeria, we are not visitors to this country. We have had and we have seen the criticisms of Nigerians with respect to the way the Nigerian police has managed internal security of this country. The issues that were raised by NSAS protesters, youth, is real. Those issues are real, and those issues remain unresolved. And so if we replicate Nigerian police at 36 states and the FCT, what we are going to have is a culture, the same culture of Nigerian police in the states. And then that will complicate our problems rather than solving them. So those are the issues that I have. But not that I am opposed to state police. I have been an ardent supporter for state policing. And let me say this, Bukola. You see, we elect leaders to make hard and difficult decisions. If leadership were only about making easy and popular decisions, there would be little need for leaders because ordinary citizens, as you know, can make such decisions for themselves. But the true test of leadership lies in the courage to confront complex challenges and take actions that may be difficult in the short term, but in the long run, they will be very, very important for the stability and progress of our nation. And so in this regard, I must commend President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for demonstrating the political courage to undertake reforms that previous administrations either avoided or lacked the way to pursue. If you take his decision on the removal of fuel subsidy, the advancement of local government autonomy, and now the push for the establishment of state police, a significant policy initiative that address long-standing structural issues within Nigeria's governance and security architecture. However, I still have reservations that we have not put enough guardrails and that we are rushing this thing. And if by doing so, we will replicate Nigerian police in all 36 states and the FCT. And that will not all go well for us. And also, there is not enough guardrail to ensure that these state policies don't become religious police in some states, where states will now turn it into a religious law enforcement to begin to execute and implement their religious and ethnic doctrines in their various states. So we have to look at all these things. We know Nigeria is a very complex place. We don't want a situation where the Nigerian state police will become another form of Hizbah, where some states begin to use the state police to implement religious doctrines.
All right, Captain Bish, I would like you to be specific as to what you would like to be in it. You've commended the president. Of course, he's done some things with very courageous things he's done. It's also costing him some backlash as well. However, one of the things you mentioned that he's done, he even took the local government's case to court, and he won. But the implementation is still, I think that case was won in 2024, if I remember very well, or 2025. I'm not sure when, but it's over a year plus now. The monies are still not going to the local government because of JAC issues, constitutional issues, what constitutes a federation, whether it's federal and state, or whether it's federal, state, and local government. All of that argument has actually botched that. He even threatened them, let's not use the word threaten, warned them that he may use an executive order to implement what he has to do. But I also understand where you talk about the rush, whether there's a need for this rush or not. But Clause 17, sub 17, I want to read it. I read it to one of our guests earlier, whether this is enough to assuage your concern about turning it into ethnic or religious within certain states. No direction under this section shall require arrest, detention, investigation, non-investigation, deployment, or use of force against any named person, political party, association, or class of persons except in accordance with law, or require a police service or any member of the police service to act unlawfully, violate fundamental rights, suppress lawful political activity, discriminate against person or group, or enforce the law for partisan, ethnic, religious, and sectional and personal purpose. So is this enough guardrail? But I also hear your fear, because even now campaigns are coming and you see some governors using their state agencies to raise the amounts for outdoor advertising, more like discriminating by price. So it's a valid case. But do you have additional guardrail besides what I've read?
Well, I haven't seen this particular section that you just read now, but based on what you have read, I think it's a good place to start. One thing I believe is that, you know, legislations and in governance, you don't president, where he said they are approaching this matter in two phases. There's going to be one part is going to be constitutional amendment, and then the other part is going to be the Act of the National Assembly. So I believe that as we unveil the state police framework, that with the Act of the National Assembly, if there are other areas that we may not have satisfied in this initial stage, the Act of the National Assembly we may go back to the National Assembly, and through Act of National Assembly we may be able to close those other gaps. But I believe that there has to be enough guardrails to ensure that we do not replicate Nigerian police at the state level again, because Nigerian police has its issues with the citizens. The citizens have not really been satisfied by the work they are doing. And we saw it manifest itself during the NSAS protest, where young people came out to talk about how they are being victimized and how they were being terrorized by their own very police. And some of those issues that are raised are still unresolved. I've had people talk about secondment of Nigerian police officers to become commissioners of police at the exclusion of other security agencies, including intelligence agencies. I don't think that that is the way to go. It must not be the prerogative of officers, both serving and retired Nigerian police officers, to be seconded to these state policies, because they will transfer the same culture at the Nigerian police to the state levels. And besides, like I stated earlier, we live in a hybrid threat environment. The crimes that we face today are beyond setting up road checkpoints on the roads. They have gone digital. So we have to ensure that the state police that we are putting in place are state police that are robust enough to be able to deal with issues of terrorism, banditry, insurgency, financial crimes, economic subversion, including even geopolitics, international politics. It cannot be, business as usual, and the same experience that we have had with the state, with Nigerian police. So the idea of secondment of Nigerian police officers to these state policies, I have an issue with that. It should be open. There must not only be Nigerian police officers who should head these state police until such a time that state police people have lasted long enough to be able to produce their own leadership. You see, the success of the state police depends solely on the culture. And that culture is the culture that has to be built now. If we build a wrong culture now, a culture of impunity and a culture of corruption in the state police, it will take us a long time to be able to correct it.
So, pardon me, Captain Bish, it's the title of your article that seems to suggest that you're not particularly in support of the current state police proposition, and the title reads, "Replicating the Nigeria police force at the subnational level will not resolve Nigeria's insecurity nightmare. It will instead exacerbate it." And that's as clear as can be. But thank you for this current clarification on what your position really is as far as state policing is concerned. From what we get that you're trying to say, what is more important is to ensure that what is put in place is a structure that works, and not just replicating the same policing structure that we have at the national level at the state level. But you've been emphasizing on the point about guardrails. If you can do this in 60 seconds, besides the provision that ensures that the state governor cannot just sack a state police commissioner without the input of the National Police Council, what else can be done to ensure that the state policing structure is as neutral can be, particularly during elections?
We have to be meticulous in our vetting process and how we recruit people who are going to be in this state police. It should not be a state police where we are going to, because governors still, even with this guardrail that we put in place, governors can still turn this thing into their political arm by recruiting only their members in the state police. And so I have not seen a guardrail that will stop governors from ensuring that most people who are in their state police are not members of their political party. It shouldn't be a partisan issue. So there must be strong mechanism in which we vet people who are recruited into these various state police to ensure that we don't have a religious fundamentalist heading a state police, and that we don't have state policies that are more partisan than neutral, which is what we are trying to achieve. So far, I haven't seen any guardrail to that end. I have also not seen a guardrail that stops states from recruiting people who are not Nigerian citizens.
All right.
Don't want to have a situation where we are going to have state militia by recruiting foreigners into these various state police, and in the long run, they will begin to hunt us.
And that's an important part of the conversation. But we must anchor very quickly at this point because we have one more place to touch. Thank you so much, Captain Bish Johnston, for coming through on this conversation and bringing your expertise to bear. Thank you very much for your time.
Absolutely, and from here, fantastic.
Thank you for having me.